good. Um,
Sweet.
and so yeah, we're gonna be showing off. Obviously, let's see here. Let's get into a couple things, and I think what's going to be really fun, and I'm just pulling up the Discord to see if anything's coming in here. Not quite yet, but that's totally fine. Um, so what should we get into first, man? Do we want to demonstrate some of like the new like some of like the new things that we're releasing in this particular release? Sorry for the infinite screen. Um, times infinity. So like if we go to FlyShirley.com, obviously like we can take a look at some of the new things that have come out here. We've got custom aircraft profiles, we've got failures, and we've got autopilot control and aircraft positioning. And I figure like you and I might as well just start by having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the very
Start
least,
playing around with some of the new features.
just start playing around with some of the new features. And if nobody shows up, then at least we're still having fun. And so I think that's the plan. If anybody wants to hop in the chat here, there's two of you besides us. So say whatever you want. I think we're pretty excited to show off some of these new like aircraft profile features and some other things like that. But since there are two of us, I think we'll just two of you will just start by showing off some of the new type of like failure type features to begin with. So like now we're doing like pedostatic blockages, GPS failures, etc. So anyway, should we just show them some cool stuff? Is that really
Yeah, let's
is
show
that
some cool stuff.
is that the plan? Okay, so let me go into OBS and
Think
make
so.
sure. Let me just make sure the cool stuff is going to be visible here. All right, we've got this Shirley call window. Okay, that's a little better. And this one we got you up here as well. Cool. Let's get us started.
I've tuned the physics. Now let's see if you can tune the flying. Ready when you are.
All right, Shirley. What are we flying in today?
Shirley with you in a single engine, fixed gear, piston aircraft at Burlington International.
All right. Well,
Let's make this
that's not
flight.
going to do. Let's first show off some of this new aircraft profile stuff. So if you hit on the normal page, if you hit other aircraft, you now get the option to show this aircraft profile, and by default it's empty. But if you click this box here for always use aircraft profile, and then you go up, and nobody really views this in such a narrow way. But then if you go up and you choose like I don't know the 172 G1000 edition, then you get the aircraft profile, and you get the one that's default for that aircraft. Obviously, you can change that. So let's go ahead and just reconnect the call. We'll show you how to change it. It's got V speeds. We helped 8033 Fox make one for Felicity. We can help you make one too if you just pop that in the chat. Happy to make you an aircraft profile, including for other things like the tallest
I've tuned the physics.
whatnot.
Shirley back in Cessna Skyhawk, 172 SPG 1000, ready to assist.
All right, Shirley, where are we at?
We're on the ground at Burlington International, KBTV, Vermont. Let me check the current conditions.
All right, let me get my joke here, my yoke here. But okay, you've got the current conditions. That's great. Figure out which runway we're going to use, and then put us in the pattern for that runway. So put us on like a downwind for that particular runway. And hey, Fox, how's it going? Thanks for joining in today. If you have any question, yeah, Austin's voice today. If you have anything, if there's audio's not right or something, that we can obviously tweak all that. I'm just up here in OBS currently. You got Jack, coming in on Zoom. So, let us know. So, Shirley, what'd you figure out about the winds and which downwind are you going to put us on?
With winds 250 at 7 knots, runway 33 is most favorable. I'll position us on left downwind.
So, Shirley, you can probably tell that we're doing a live stream here. but now we could just get thrown right into the pattern. We didn't really do a standard pre-takeoff check. Do you want to make sure that we are configured for landing? You want to gumps it up, like gas on the carriage, make sure ridge prop is fine, seatbelts, and switch. I guess if you just say it, then it counts, at least in the sim. So how about get the lights on?
Gumps check. Gas on fullest tank. Undercarriage down and locked. Mixture rich. Prop forward. Seatbelt secure. Let me get those landing lights on for pattern work.
And so, Shirley, here's what we want to do. We're going to do something kind of fun today. And by the way, Jack's here. You can tell we're doing a live stream. I might tell you to go to assistant mode at some point. You don't have to do it now. But here's what we're going to do. Can you set an altimeter failure? So like a pitot static failure, either the pitot tube or the static board. Don't tell me which one, and we'll just set that one up like right now, and then we'll see. We'll try to figure out what it is in the cockpit. Make it a surprise. Don't tell us.
Sneakily flips a switch. Failure set. Let's see how long it takes you to notice.
And so we see now that there's like this new failures thing that shows up here. I'm not going to look at it. Oh, I didn't look. I'm not looking. I didn't look which one it was. But okay, now we're going to keep descending here. So what are we noticing? Airspeed. Okay, the altitude is going down. Let me make it a little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit on this. So what do we got here? We got airspeed going down. Not really that much, even though we're slowing down. Okay, Shirley, full flaps, please.
Setting full flaps for landing. You're right about 355 feet right of center line. Suggest a slight left correction to intercept final.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Looking good on final. Just need that slight right turn to 325 for center line.
All right, and so now you have what? So yeah, our airspeed seems way more consistent than it should at this particular point in time. I think that's what it would be. Yeah, we're even decelerating on the runway. So yeah, I'm going to go with pitot blockage for this one. We're also supporting GPS failures. What other failures do we have now, Jack?
We have GPS failures, we have generator failures, navigation system failures, electrical bugs. I think that's it.
Is there any other, Shirley?
Yes, we have quite a menu of failures available. pitot and static blockages, battery and bus failures, engine seizures, single or both engines, generator failure, GPS failure, and NAV1 and NAV2 failures.
Okay.
And you nailed it.
All right, so let's just show off some more stuff related to the pattern work. Put us like on a 1 mile departure leg.
Positioning us 1 mile out on the departure leg for runway 33.
Sweet, and let's do this. Like, could you actually bring down the clouds quite a bit? You know, what should we do? Give us like a nice sunset, and then let's just do like, give me some fog, like, I don't know, 500 feet AGL scattered cumulus clouds, I guess. So I'm hearing Jack is loud, but Alex and Shirley are quieter. Sounds good. Thanks very much. I'm going to bring down the zoom levels quite a lot, and I appreciate that. Jack, you want to say a couple things?
Yeah, can you hear me all right? Is it still coming across too loud?
So that might be a bit better. I think I just adjusted it down slightly more.
Okay. Yeah, can you guys still hear me all right?
Setting up a dramatic sunset scene with low visibility and scattered clouds.
So anyway, you folks know all about these particular features. Surely that's not exactly sunset. That's like a little bit too late. Yeah.
Let me adjust that to a proper sunset time.
Thank you. And obviously there's clouds here. Imagine what would happen, Shirley, if we had, like, I don't know, a bus failure. So why don't you kill our electrical bus?
Setting up an electrical bus failure. This should get interesting.
And how about, like, a primary navigation failure?
Adding a Nav1 failure to our growing list of problems.
And how about GPS? And for all of this, just take out all the electrical stuff, Shirley. Might as well just do that.
All right, pulling the plug on everything electrical, GPS, NAV1, and that bus failure we already had. Here we go.
So let's see what ends up happening here. We do have a whole list of failures. Let's see. So we got all the navs out. We got GPS now says it's on. The GPS now says that it's on Dead Reckoning. If you zoom in, so that's what happens. You know, X-Plane does model all this stuff pretty well. And here in Shirley Land, we have, obviously you want to be flying off this attitude indicator if everything else died. And so let's see what we got going on here. We've got failures, bus, pitot, navigation 1. But Shirley, kill the generator and the battery too.
Taking out the last bits of electrical power. Goodbye generator and battery.
Yeah, I guess there's more batteries on this airplane than here. So what you got to do is just turn these off, I suppose, or maybe X-Plane just doesn't even support it. Cool. That's interesting to hear. That might not be modeled totally correctly in this particular circumstance, but all right, Shirley, bring everything back, and let's do this. We're gonna get kind of transition. Jack, do you think there's anything else worth showing off here, looking at the most recent type of releases? Do we want to show anything else here?
As far as failures go, I don't think so. I think probably like the most useful part of that, right, is the ability to kind of set random failures, random triggers, so you don't know what's coming, right? Otherwise, you're just thinking ahead of how you're going to deal with that situation. So,
got it. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Fortunately, my microphone, I'll speak a little louder. My microphone's having a hard time keeping up here. I'll bring down X-Plane a little bit as well. Unusual attitude. And I think Jack's right about that. Shirley, go ahead and configure the autopilot. Let's think about this next part here. Jack, should we jump into some of the Shirley flies portion of this?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, Shirley, I don't have any information about the controls or anything like that, but you do. So how about yeah, thanks, Fox. What does rough landing say? Jack, Alex, and Shirley are still a bit soft, and okay, everything is all the engine noises are too loud, etc. Let me see if I can do this without crashing the airplane. Appreciate that, rough landings. And all right, cool. And so, Shirley, you still with us? Do you want to go ahead and engage the autopilot on heading mode? Do you want to help us figure out a runway to come back to and help us get through this mess? Let's see here. We might have talked Shirley's ear off. We are actually about to release a new update that's gonna just focus on some of the last remaining minor glitches with Shirley, like in terms of Shirley not always responding, and that's coming like this week or next week. So that core foundation is gonna be nailed in. But go ahead, Shirley.
Let me clear all those failures first and get us set up with autopilot for heading mode.
Cool.
Setting heading bug to 145 for downwind entry to runway 33. We're a bit high. Would you like me to set up a descent?
I don't know if you've engaged the servos or if those are engageable at this point.
I notice the autopilot isn't engaged despite my command. Let me try again to engage it and set up for pattern entry.
There we go. Okay, looks good. And how about we give people who are watching a little bit nicer scenery? I would say just let's just clear all the weather and get some like scattered cumulus clouds. Don't want folks to like have to deal with that.
Setting up some nice scattered cumulus clouds for better visibility.
All right, that's certainly prettier.
We're set up nicely at 2,000 to 900 feet, heading 182 for the 45 entry to left downwind for runway 33. I'll help monitor our pattern entry.
All right, so that's going to be a right downwind. Fixing a couple of these bugs too, but Shirley, what altitude should we be at this point? Do you want to descend us down to pattern altitude?
Yes, let me descend us to pattern altitude of 1,335 feet, MSL, with a 500 FPM descent.
So, and Shirley, if you hear this, you can mute. But the thing that folks to know here is that now Shirley can actually do vertical speed, etc. directly here inside of the sim, and we're using 12.1.4, and thanks for asking that, Fox. And with 12.1.4, you get basically all of this. In 12.1.4 itself, that release enabled us to be able to do a couple more features. In particular, it enabled us to be able to set some more commands as opposed to just activate data refs and things like that. And so that really opened the lid 1,000 feet. That really opened the lid for like configuring weather, like you see here, and being able to do things like regenerate weather, set failures, doing a whole lot of other triggers like that. And I think we are unfortunately over the final approach course since we started yabbing a little bit too much. But Shirley, do you want to do a reverse course and help us get us set up for runway 33?
Let me set us up for a proper entry to left downwind runway 33. Setting right turn to heading 055 for crosswind entry, maintaining 1,335 MSL. We'll turn left to 325 for down to Susi.
Actually, Shirley, why don't you just turn base now, left base runway 33.
Roger, turning left base now, setting heading 051.
And you can do that, Shirley. And I think probably we recognize sometimes it doesn't come through right away. I think also when you're presenting this, and this is definitely something we recognize, that it doesn't make it much easier. All right, Shirley, go for it.
Setting heading bug to 055 for left base. Runway 33.
And here it's going the wrong way around. So that's a good time. That's a good time. So actually, there's two more things that we want to show you as part of all this. We are experimenting with some like different and smaller and also faster models. Part of all of our work is to be able to like build an aviation AI, and here Shirley's leveled out at your particular altitude, but to build an AI that's good at all these tasks. And so when Shirley messes something up, like please just tell Shirley that's wrong. And very soon after FS Expo, we're actually going to get to building this sort of language model that is good at both talking to you, but also good at aviation. And so that's kind of some of the core of what we're up to.
Yeah, just to reiterate
You're
that,
right. I said
it
the
really
wrong.
helps when you call out when Shirley is like kind of missing the point on something or just getting something wrong. When you call it out, it makes it a lot easier for us to find and fix.
Yeah, and so we're gonna basically stand up a way to go and fix all those things. We're not quite there yet, but I think in the next month or two we really will be at that point where you should start to see things getting better, and that really just involves us like being able to take those particular problems and make them better based on feedback, either provided directly to us or just through kind of reinforcement um, of a aviation system that we're trying to build for all of you, and for pilots to make flight safer, obviously. And many of you are pilots, and a big point of this is to help make training a lot more accessible. Bring kind of structure to your sim flying, etc. All right, Shirley, what's next?
Let me correct our heading for a proper left base to final. We need to turn left to heading 325 for final approach.
And this is an X-plane bug, actually, where the heading system will actually, the autopilot will turn you the wrong direction in order to put you on final here. Here, I'm gonna see if I can move my camera across my monitor a little bit so that people can tell when I'm like looking at. Yeah, so really here's how we're doing this, Fox, and here's the plan. Basically, when folks are interacting with Shirley and they call something out, we have here's the process that we're standing up. It'd be good to get your feedback, but we're anonymizing. We literally pass it through a system to anonymize anything that could like represent it to a person, but then we kind of are passing it through the system, which is going to see, did anybody call out something wrong with Shirley? Were any of these obvious things like left versus right wrong? And what we're doing is we're passing that to a system that gives Shirley another chance to be able to come up with a better answer. And then when it comes up with that better answer, we're actually going to reward Shirley for that. But then and then maybe reduce it for those other things. And so absolutely, calling out an error is actually going to be an integral part of our process as we start to switch to some of the models that we're building ourselves, instead of just heavily customizing, if that makes sense. And Shirley full flaps.
Setting full flaps for landing.
Captain Balloon. That's me. Full flaps on short final at high speed. Task saturated by good questions. All right. What do you think, Jack? Should we get into a different airplane? Do you have anything that you want to show on your side first, Jack?
I mean, if you'd like, we could show a little bit more of the features that we developed, but I think you've shown all of them pretty well so far. So, yeah, why don't we hop in a different aircraft?
Okay. There's there's profiles, there's autopilot control, then there's aircraft positioning, right? So
Yeah, we showed it a little bit. If you want, we could show it off a little more.
I think actually what's going to be really sweet about this next part is if we can actually use that aircraft positioning to have Shirley take off. So should we get going into this? I'm actually pretty excited
Yeah.
to show what we're doing. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for your help, Shirley. See you later.
Catch you in the next aircraft. Standing by.
All right. So this is going to be a little, you might say, different, um, and we're going to show off a little bit about the aircraft profile system, and then also the challenge system as we do this. So we're going to load up the trusty and luckily never rusty carbon fiber evolution that belongs to Austin to help go with the voice, and then yeah, let's and then hopefully let's see here. Hopefully some of the audio stuff has worked its way out. You know, please just let us know again if it's not. Be really happy to fix that. In fact, like I'm finding the aircraft sounds to be excruciatingly loud, so maybe I'll turn those down a bit too. Okay, so here's the plan. Let's go ahead and open up. Let's open up the this desktop window. Sorry, folks. I know that's painful, but if you go to Let's Fly here, and then hit challenge fly create, you can see what's mentioned is this challenge maker GPT is what it's called. And while we're at it, and man, I really gotta apologize, but I think if we want Jack to be heard at all, we gotta go grab Jack and then move him to this window. So there he is. All right. Sorry about that. And so now, I know, class act situation. And then what you do is you hit this challenge maker GPT, and so like there's some defaults here, including like, you know, what resources do you have access to. Sometimes this kind of makes it a little bit better, but you know, what we're going to do in this particular circumstance is we're going to say, hey, I want Shirley to do all the flying using the autopilot and all available tools. Break, I don't know, like set up a flight from planning to takeoff to in-flight to long final to landing, and you'll see why long final is necessary here in a second. And so yeah, here we go. Any aircraft, just using the best available navigation tool or something like that. And so here we go. Cool. So here it's just gonna like go and create a bunch of stuff. And here it's like, and then you could like do follow-ups and be like, okay, remove any mention of actual IFR equipment. We'll just use the heading bug and altitude bug built into X-Plane and Shirley, and we'll go from BTV to K Plattsburgh. Sweet. And so what you get is like a you end up getting this sort of challenge that you can just copy and then paste into here, and then if there's any warnings or errors, it'll tell you that. And in this particular circumstance, there were no errors or warnings, so it did a good job. And so now Okay, again, I apologize. Well, I suppose we can just. Oh, I did it. I did it. Quick. All right. So now back to the X system. Back to the share. Back to the fly page here. I'm going to grab this and hide the aircraft profile JSON. I'm going to go into this fly. Just go into this profile create. Here we go. And let's try it. Let's see what ends up happening. Let's see if we can get anything working here. And what airport are we currently at? Let's find out. Oh no! Oh
Yeah.
Shirley back in a Lancair Evolution L1T turbine, waiting for sim connection to start autopilot IFR demo mode.
So we thought we had solved. Some of those problems, although it looks like they came back. Hey, what's going on, Jay? Not well. I don't think it's going to take your job, but I think it's going to make students like show up a lot more prepared to flight lessons. And if it's raining for a couple of weeks, hopefully you don't end up needing to like really feel like you need to send it, or maybe they could feel a little bit more safe, going and doing like a solo type of deal because like they were able to do practice of some like emergency procedures and engines outs and things like that. But yeah, anyway. Although we are
Yeah, and I think
kind of messing around today with some Shirley flies. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say, one of the ways I think about this tool is like, how can we make like multiply the capacity of a CFI, right? And how can we make it so that you can actually teach more students than you're capable of teaching right now, right? So one of the things that we have on our backlog is the ability for people like you, like CFIs, to be able to teach Shirley and have Shirley be able to recreate those lessons with students, so that you can stay at the more you know like mentor level, and Shirley can take on more of the menial tasks.
And Shirley, yeah, we're here at Burlington. What's the plan today? What are we up to?
I'll start the IFR demo by checking the weather at both airports. Let me get the current conditions at Burlington and Plattsburgh. Burlington weather. Broken clouds at 9,000 and 14,000 feet. Wind 250 at 8 knots. Temperature 23. Dew point 11. Altimeter 29.9 DC. Plattsburgh is reporting clear skies, calm winds, altimeter 29.88. Both airports VFR. Let's plan our route.
Sounds good, Shirley. Can you configure configure it however you want, but make sure do whatever you want, but specifically set up the destination runway at Plattsburgh and set up the update the altimeter setting inside of the instruments. Please.
Set altimeter to 29.88 and configured runway 17 at Plattsburgh. Would you like me to plan our route there?
Let's go direct, but I'm gonna say keep a big leg, because I know that you need some extra space in order to figure out how to line up and get descending correctly for the final approach. So just give yourself a lot of space. I think just aim well right of the airport.
Set up an initial point well west of Plattsburgh. It'll give us plenty of room to maneuver for runway 17. Would you like me to set some initial bugs for departure?
Yeah, go ahead. And then once we take off, then I'm going to give you autopilot control, and then you're just going to do as much as possible. You might not hear me talk all the time, but you're going to be doing the flying, and then then we're going to try to go. You're going to try to go land the airplane. Sounds good. You're just going to use obviously the vertical speed system.
Let me set up our initial climb profile and heading. Bug set for heading 322 to PBGIP and initial altitude 3,500. When you're ready, I'll engage autopilot with a 1,000 FPM climb.
Sounds good, Shirley. And you can configure the airplane as well, flaps, gear, everything.
Autopilot engaged, cleaning up the aircraft, gear and flaps coming up. I'll maintain this heading to PBGIP.
So one of the features inside of a aircraft profile, or a, sorry, I keep saying that, but inside of a challenge is the ability to wake up Shirley every X number of seconds. And so I forgot to enable that in this particular circumstance. But we're going to trigger that every once in a while in order to like see what ends up happening. I've gone ahead and muted ourselves.
Turn left 45 to heading 320C for PBGIP. Currently climbing through 1,1600 at a good rate.
And Shirley, is there any sort of way that you could start aiming at that particular heading? Remember, you're in control. So let's see if it gets it. You know, these bugs come and go, and so when we release this new system that I'm working on now for doing that speech control, it's going to be a lot better. But sometimes Shirley decides they really just don't want to respond, and that's also kind of an authentic kind of response as well. But you know, obviously, yeah, super fun. Go ahead, Shirley.
Let me get us turned to PBGIP, commanding a left turn now. Rolling left to 309 for PBGIP, 19 miles ahead. We'll need to start planning our descent soon.
Well, Shirley, you're going totally the opposite direction. I think you'll level off, but my guess is that you've just not configured the autopilot in the correct way.
Oh my, you're right. Let me fix this immediately. We're heading east instead of west. Oops, you're right. We're heading 128 instead of 308. Leveling wings and commanding a right turn to 308 for PBGIP. My bad. Clearly I need more coffee in my virtual cup.
All right, Shirley. Enable heading mode. I'll just help you do this for now. And I think we got a couple new messages in here in the chat.
Heading mode enabled. Bug set to 308. Thanks for the help. We should start our right turn to PBG Ape now.
All right, from Jay Abalon. Yeah, thanks for giving Shirley the pass on that one. Using Shirley to guide students through specific scenarios that I want them to practice would be amazing. Make the on-ramp to simulation as effective practice, less daunting, plus more productive. I think that's true because a lot of sims, in fact all the sims pretty much have just like random places that you just have to know where to click. Configuring things and like setting up failures and weather takes like a heck of a long time to do. And it just makes it kind of like A, not fun, and B, not worth it. And also like, you know, most of the time if you don't have like a pretty sick sim setup like Michael has at 8033 Fox, and you should check out his channel if you haven't. But you know, if you don't have a sick sim setup like that, then you have to like go through and like click on stuff, and then Shirley just kind of makes that really easy to do and just possible in a lot of circumstances. And so that's ends up being like one of the other ways that this can help.
Turning right 6 degrees to track 315 to PBG.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you have
cruise speed, I'll start planning our descent soon.
Floor is yours, Jack.
I was going to say, if you haven't checked out the challenge creator tool, definitely recommend checking it out. You know, it might let you create some specific scenarios that you're interested in, and you could even run them by your students and see what they think, and go from there.
And we'll help you if you have if there's like something that you're working on that you want some help on. You can just message us either publicly or privately, and we're like more than happy to help you with that. Juan is one person that's been making a lot of glider content recently. Juan's actually gone off and used all these like AI tools to like build Shirley interfaces into like other sims himself, which is kind of above like way more than should be expected of like somebody, but he's been able to basically do that for the content that a lot of gliders end up learning to glider pilots end up using in order to learn in flight sims. And so let's do this here. Let's see if Shirley wants to wake up and give us some more info.
Commanding right, turn to 318 for PBGIP, 15 miles ahead.
And Shirley, you should just track the actual airport, because the headings that you give to PG, well, maybe that's not unrealistic, because I see Plattsburgh up there. But why don't we do runway, what is it, runway 17 over there? Let's do runway 35 instead, and just enter like a right base.
Setting up for runway 35 with a right base entry. Adjusting our course now.
Sounds good, Shirley. All right.
Starting our descent now for right base to runway 35.
Can you enter that right base? And Shirley, do you want to? I was going to ask if you can accelerate time, but I don't know if that's a good idea. What do you think, Jack? Is that a good? It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, it might make Shirley have a little bit of trouble. A little trouble when controlling the aircraft and predicting when it needs to turn and whatnot.
Even more trouble than commonly.
Than it has.
Turn for right base. We're 7.2 miles out. Need to lose about 2,300 feet. Turning left to 262 for right base entry, starting an 800 FPM descent. I'll keep it real time for better pattern control.
And Shirley, don't forget to put a like bottom altitude on that.
Setting altitude bug to 1,500 feet, MSL for pattern altitude plus safety margin. We're 5.7 miles out, descending through 3,000. I'll start slowing us down soon for pattern speed.
Shirley, I actually have to do that part.
You're right. I can only control heading and vertical speed. We're 5.3 miles out on a good heading for right base, maintaining 800 FPM descent. I'll let you manage the altitude protection.
Well, just the airspeed, because I've got the engine controls. All right, you control the final turn.
Roger that. You manage power. I'll handle the turn to final. Currently on right base at 262, we'll need a 90-degree left turn
to
350. Starting our turn to final now. You're right to be concerned. We're a bit high and fast. Coming left to heading 352 for final.
One of the funniest things about these AI systems is they really just don't seem to know the difference between left and right. It's kind of wild. I mean, that's actually one of the things that encouraged us to build our own kind of model, because just not knowing left from right is pretty fundamental, obviously, in a lot of things in life. There's just a lot of like physical intuition that are just totally incorrect with a system like this.
So it doesn't
Correcting
seem
to
like
get
it's in the
on
worst
center line.
position.
Turning right to 359 to intercept. We're about 3,000 feet left, of course.
And Shirley, just to be clear, you can bring it all the rest of the way down to the ground.
Correcting to center line, slightly right to 001. We're high on glide slope. Increasing descent rate to
And why don't you set the bottom altitude to the field elevation, and then how about you get the airplane configured?
setting minimum altitude to field elevation and configuring for landing. Gear down, approach flaps, turning slightly left to 360 for center line. We're 2.5 miles out, slightly left, of course.
All right, do your pre-landing checks.
Turning right to 0,000 to correct centerline deviation. Gumps check complete. Gas unlimited. Undercarriage down. Mixture rich. Props forward. Seat belts will assume. Landing flap set. We're configured for landing.
All right. Pretty sure it's not gas unlimited is not typically the gumps
Correcting
check.
slightly right to 002 to get back on center line. 1
Gas
5 miles
unlimited.
final.
That's right.
Descent rate looks good.
All right, I'm going to give it a little extra juice here. And Shirley, you might want to turn final approach course here.
Turning left to 352 for final approach course.
And keep that descent coming.
Turning right to 358, adjusting descent rate to 400 FPM for touchdown.
Let's see. Let's see. Could it be?
Coming left to 352 for center line, 40 feet AGL main.
Oh, a little bit. No.
Nice landing. Starting the takeoff roll.
All right, Shirley. Kind of a landing. Activate the reverse thrust.
Engaging beta mode for reverse thrust.
So faster. That's another goal of ours with the new system. All right. Yeah, gas unlimited. Good work, Shirley. Let's think about this. What do we want to incorporate in the next iteration here? What feedback did we give you during the flight that could affect any of those challenge phases that you saw? Just take a note of it.
Let me note the key feedback from this flight.
That's not exactly key feedback. Didn't we also want you to do the takeoff itself, and then also wake up periodically, right? Wake up every 5 to 10 seconds.
Ah, yes. Let me add those key points. Oh. You're absolutely right. I should be more proactive with regular position callouts during critical phases like takeoff, approach, and landing, and not wait to be prompted. Would you like to try another takeoff and landing to practice these improvements?
So, what do you think, Jack? You got gas in the tank for one more, one more cycle here?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So let's try this one more time. Be precise. Okay. Feedback from round 1.
I'm back in the
Oh no.
evolution.
Shirley's still here. Gonna shut you down. Goodbye. Okay, cool. So this isn't the way. Um, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because I have a slightly better version that I had made on my own computer. So I'm just
Got a better version tucked in your back pocket.
pretty sure I do. And so I'm going to go open that up and see if that's ready to fly here. Because here, there it is. So, bada boom. So, here we go. And so pilot rotates, or Shirley activates, or Shirley places aircraft in pattern. There we go. And now, here we go. So, let's try this, and then also let's try with a new AI model on Shirley, shall we?
Yeah.
Use Sonnet V4. Let's see if this works. Okay, looks like that's gonna work. And then we'll try this here. And cool. Let's see how it does. I'm gonna go move it back.
I've tuned the physics. Now let's see if you can tune the flying. Ready when you are.
And I probably should have just had Shirley go and set us up on that other runway, because it is kind of fun to watch that happen. But those long distances don't always work so good, as Jack knows. And cool. So hey Shirley, we can hear you. We are doing a live stream. We're not in the Cessna Skyhawk. I'm gonna go change that. And if you have that profile visible, you can just go and delete it, and then the one that's currently selected will go up.
I've tuned the physics. Now let's see if you can tune the flying. Ready when you are.
Okay, Shirley, we've got a couple experiments going here today, and one of them is you flying. We might not always be speaking, but we do want you to get us to our destination safely, and we'll be using heading and vectors for that. And you'll be waking up and paying attention, and you should probably think things aloud, because you typically forget like what left is and what right is, and so just like kind of spell the numbers out, I suppose, in order to get that right.
Roger that. Shirley back in a Lancair Evolution L1T turbine. Autopilot Flight Director IFR mode active. I'll be your thinking out loud co-pilot today and handle the flying with plenty of verbal reasoning, especially when it comes to those pesky left-right directions. I can see we're lined up on runway 33 at Burlington. Let's start with step 1 of our IFR plan. Where are we headed today? I'll need a destination airport so I can program the runway and start working out our direct to route with vector modifications.
So we're going to Burlington. We're going from Burlington to Plattsburgh, New York. Let's do runway 35. That's a little bit easier and faster from this direction.
Perfect. Burlington to Plattsburgh, that's KBTV to KPBG, runway 35. Let me get this programmed. Excellent. Step 1, complete. Destination runway 35 at Plattsburgh programmed. Now for step 2, our vector instructions. Direct to Plattsburgh would put us on about a 270 magnetic heading. I'm thinking we'll fly runway heading 325 initially, then I'll vector you left, that's LEFT, about 10 degrees to approximately 315 magnetic once airborne. That'll give us a nice intercept angle to the airport. What's our planned cruise altitude for this short hop? And I should mention, we're currently lined up on runway 33 here at Burlington, but we'll need to taxi to runway 35 for departure to match our destination runway. Should I get us
well,
in
that doesn't
position?
make any sense. I think you probably used up all your like thinking quarters for that. But you know, let's the part of that made sense. The last part that we're going to take off on this runway no matter what. We're going to fly at 3,000 feet, and then you'll use whatever heading you see to Plattsburgh, but just go a little bit left of that. You do have the tendency to descend a little bit too commonly, and remember and take a note maybe that you should always set a lower altitude when you're setting a descent rate. Okay, you ready to call that a good plan?
Roger that. You're absolutely right. I was overthinking the runway situation. We're taking off from runway 33 right here, no taxi needed. So our plan is locked in. Step 2, take off runway 33, then vector left. That's LEFT of the direct heading to Plattsburgh. Step 3, cruise at 3,000 feet. Step 4, I need to set the altimeter. What's the current setting? Step 5, we're already lined up on 3.3 and noted on the altitude bug. I'll always set it lower when programming descent rates to avoid those premature descents. Good catch. What's the altimeter setting so we can finish our pre-takeoff checklist?
Yeah, don't look up the weather because we already got it. 2988, it's already programmed in. We look good for that. Just configure the rest of the airplane, and yeah, it's your it'll be your airplane once we're airborne, and in fact, maybe you'll even get us airborne if you want.
Perfect. Altimeter is already set at 2998. Let me configure the aircraft for takeoff and get us rolling.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what ends up happening here. Okay, there's the flaps.
Configured. Flight director engaged, heading bug set to 315. That's left of direct to Plattsburgh, like we planned. Altitude bug at 3,000, takeoff flaps set, lights on.
I'm obviously flying it right now.
Burlington ground,
But sure,
Lanker ready for takeoff, runway 33. Direct Plattsburgh with left
Shirley, put us on departure. Put us on the departure leg, like 2 miles, and then activate autopilot.
Roger that. Taking the controls, full power. Here we go.
So with
Perfect.
this one little trick,
We're
Shirley
airborne
can
and climbing
Shirley can
nicely.
totally fly.
Now engaging autopilot and turning left to our vector heading.
Hey, but it got the gear up without being asked.
Autopilot engaged, turning left, that's LEFT, to 315 magnetic, which puts us left of direct to Plattsburgh like we planned. Gear coming up, climbing to 3,000. Direct to Plattsburgh would be about 322 magnetic from here. So our 315 vector gives us a nice left offset for approach spacing. I've got the airplane. You can sit back and enjoy the ride.
Oh, that's a little cheeky, wouldn't you say? We're muted, so Shirley can't hear us. We could also set it to Shirley mode, but then Shirley wouldn't be able to like think out loud.
Steps 1 and 2 complete. We're climbing under autopilot control and vectoring toward our destination.
Shirley, don't forget to actually climb.
Oh, you're absolutely right. We're actually descending at 38 feet per minute. Let me fix that immediately.
Okay.
There we go. Vertical speed mode engaged
Okay,
at
okay.
500 feet per minute, climb
Okay.
rate to 3,000. That's exactly the kind of thing I need to think out loud about. We were actually descending when we should be climbing. Good catch. Autopilot was engaged, but not in the right climb mode. Now, we're properly climbing to our cruise altitude while maintaining our left vector heading of 315 toward Plattsburgh.
And what do you think about the flap settings, Shirley? Is that an important thing to configure? And also, I'm pretty sure Austin's Lancair Evolution can climb at more than 300 feet per minute.
You're absolutely right on both counts. First, let me retract these flaps. We're well past takeoff and climbing. No need for that drag anymore. And yes, this Evolution should be climbing much better than that. Flaps up and bumping our climb rate to 1,000 feet per minute. Much more appropriate for this 850 horsepower turbine. We got plenty of power at 78% N1, so let's use it properly. Good thinking out loud moment there. I was being way too conservative with both the flap retraction and climb performance. This Evolution should climb like a rocket, not like a tired Cessna. We're maintaining our left vector of 315 towards Plattsburgh, while climbing much more aggressively to 3,000.
And so in this particular mode, now that we programmed the challenge here, in particular we've got, this is the profile. In particular, we've got the wake up every 15
Perfect.
seconds.
We're climbing beautifully at 855
Shirley's going to
feet
wake
per
up
minute
and then like try
on
to
heading
figure out what needs to be done
315.
next.
Looking good. We're about 9 nautical miles from Plattsburgh.
I'm going to turn down Shirley slightly for all you, just temporarily.
I'm thinking we'll need to start our approach sequence soon. The direct bearing to Plattsburgh runway 35 is 138 magnetic from our current position. Since we're vectoring left of that course, I'll plan to turn us right. That's RIGHT to intercept around 145 magnetic when we get closer. We're in good shape, maintaining our vector as planned, and climbing nicely to cruise altitude. Once we level off, I'll start positioning us for the approach to runway 35.
What are you thinking so far, Jack? What grade would you give Shirley compared to the last flight?
I mean, compared to the last flight, definitely lower, right? But it seems to be doing, it's responding when it realizes it's not doing the right thing, right? Which is good. It just seems like the piece that's missing is its ability to kind of determine that.
Toward the runway.
All right, we got some new comments.
Leveling at 3,000 and turning right, that's RIGHT, to 145 magnetic. This puts us on a nice intercept, heading toward Plattsburgh runway 35. We're 12 miles out.
Shirley, that is really impressive there, but you're just turned absolutely the wrong direction. Good work. We also got some, I represent that tired Cessna. Easy down. And then we also got Jay Abalon. Yeah, obviously Shirley needs to climb and also fly the right direction. This is silly, but I think it makes a good test. But this is ridiculous. Okay, Shirley, fix this. It's like crazy just to fly the wrong direction away from the airport. Shirley, you gotta fix this.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. I turned us completely the wrong way. We need to be going toward Plattsburgh, which is bearing 129 magnetic, and I turned us to 145. That's way off.
And yet...
There. Turning left, that's LEFT. to 129 magnetic.
Shirley,
Direct to
what are you
Plattsburgh
doing,
runway
Shirley?
3.
What is the heading to Plattsburgh?
You're absolutely right to call me out. I'm looking at the data, and I can see we need to turn left. That's L-E-F-T.
Shirley,
Just
stop
2
spelling
more
out.
degrees
Stop
to
spelling
one-
out the word left. It's actually not making you any better at all.
You're absolutely right. I'm on heading 129, and the bearing to Plattsburgh is 128. I only need to turn 1 degree left, not make dramatic course changes.
Shirley, no. What is the
Minor correction to 128.
Oh, Shirley, how did
Magnetic.
you configured Oh, I know what happened, Jack. Burlington got reconfigured when we did the takeoff automatically.
Oh, yeah.
That is what happened. And then so Shirley was following their own advice or his or her Austin's advice or whatnot, and then got confused once airborne. All right,
Yeah.
Austin. That works for us. Why don't you plan to land on runway 15 though?
You're absolutely right. When I repositioned us for departure, it automatically set the waypoint back to Burlington runway 33 instead of keeping our destination
All right, Shirley.
as Plattsburgh.
No more saying I'm absolutely right. I already know that. And then go ahead and enter right base runway 15 and try to hack it together. Oh no.
Right base for runway 1.
So
We're descending fast and need to turn right for final. Let me get us configured for landing.
all right. Well, Shirley decided that rather than put us at Burlington, that he would put us over at Plattsburgh again. So that's interesting. And this feels pretty tweaky. For some reason, the pitch got crazy out of whack here. And all right, I think we got to put you to sleep this time, Shirley. As really didn't go super well, but here you can go ahead and configure us for landing, and we'll try again next time when we have our own like model. I think that's going to help us figure this out, and we will either by iterating on the challenge or otherwise be able to help figure this out eventually.
Roger that. I really made a mess of this one. Let me at least get us configured properly for landing before I step back. Gear down, approach.
Thanks, Shirley. Full flaps, please. Full flaps, please, and then we'll do thrust reverse. All right. Well, any feedback for yourself, Shirley, today? What grade would you give yourself today, Shirley, on this one?
Sorry about the confusion with the positioning and navigation. I clearly need some work on my spatial reasoning. Well, that was about as smooth as a three-legged cat in a sandbox. I'd give myself a solid D-, and that's being generous. The good parts. I got the aircraft configured properly for takeoff and landing, managed the power settings, and at least we're on the ground in one piece. The not-so-good parts, I completely botched the navigation by losing track of our destination waypoint, made unnecessary dramatic heading changes when tiny corrections would have worked, turned the wrong direction multiple times, and generally flew like I was reading the compass upside down in a funhouse mirror. The real lesson here is that I need to think more methodically about navigation and stop making big corrections when small ones will do. Plus, I should have caught that waypoint reset issue immediately instead of chasing my tail around the sky. Thanks for the patience. Next time I'll try to fly more like a co-pilot and less like a confused tourist with a broken GPS.
Thanks, Shirley. All right. Can you pause the sim, please? Okay.
Sim paused. Thanks for the flight lesson.
All right.
Even if it was more like a master class in what not to do, we'll get it right next time.
Cool. All right. Now it's just Jack. I figure we should just button things up here a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
What grade would you give Shirley today on either on everything or just on just like the Shirley flies? How would you divide it up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I probably would give Shirley pretty different grades on Shirley flies and everything else, right? It definitely has, a lot to learn, or you and I have a lot of work to do on making it, understand, not even really understanding what it needs to do, but understanding when it's deviating from the objective, right? It seems like when it corrects itself and it's able to understand what it needs to do, it's able to achieve that. However, the primary like thing keeping it from being able to perform well in the Shirley flies is being able to understand when it's not, you know, when it's not doing what it should. Um, for as an example, right, it wasn't climbing, it was just flying along something like 300, 400 feet. As soon as you said, hey, you need to climb, right, it's able to do that at a reasonable rate, probably slower than that aircraft wants to climb at, but it also knew to set a reasonable like altitude bug, right?
Yep.
So I think, yeah, that ability to figure out when it's not doing what it should. That's really what we need to focus on. Now, for the other portions, I thought it did very well. So, I'll give it an A minus B plus there. As far as the Shirley flies, I'll give it a C minus there.
All right, that's good. That's good. I would give Shirley F minus on flying for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. F minus definitely because at least in the previous flight, I've been able to have Shirley like go and basically autonomously land somewhere. It stops rolling on the runway, and that's a big runway. That's like an alternate. That's like a space shuttle alternate runway. That's like not. That's like not your local like 300 like 3,000 foot long either grass or 2,000 foot long grass or 3,000 foot long asphalt in bad condition with 50 feet wide. This thing's 10,000 feet long and it's
Yeah.
300 feet wide. So anyway, so F minus, but the rest of it, I think these new features like the failures getting set up correctly, being able to position the pattern, really the main things that we're going to focus on are like quickness, and we have some quicker stuff that we've been experimenting with, and we're working on. I think and then those fixes for those few times where Shirley wasn't like actually waking up and left this awkward silence, which as somebody doing a live stream, it ends up feeling like, 5-10 minutes worth of quiet. You're sitting there waiting for somebody to respond, and Charlie's not, and so anyway, I give the audience an A plus. Thanks so much, Michael and Jay, and I'll go ahead and read out. First part was very impressive, great job, and Charlie Flies gives us great laughs. Yeah, thanks very much. I will say what that's built on is this challenge system, which does a good job a lot of the time, and so you can build training curriculum on that challenge system. It's really about this like next phase, and that's just a challenge that we like spat out with ChatGPT, just instantaneously. I hate to say it, but you saw, you know what you were getting into. 5 minutes of work tops, and so kind of flies ish. But the actual lessons that we're building in partnership with some like flight schools and flight training providers, etc., are actually quite high quality, and a lot of things that you can build on this are really fun, and looking forward to being able to put some more stuff on the site related to gliders, like wands put together, um, and uh, and anything that you folks want. And I knew we were supposed to ask if there's any aircraft profiles that you all wanted, and feel free to say now, or otherwise just jump on the FlyShirley Discord at airplane.team/discord or flyshirley.com/discord. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is setting up a raid here, in order to let folks join somewhere else, and trying to think where that is. So you don't mind just hanging out here for 1 second, as I set that up. If you're planning to watch some more stuff, that would probably be good for some other people's channels, and so we'll go ahead and try to do that. Thanks, Jack, for posting that. And then let's see here. You know what? I am not well versed in the world of Discord, so I want to do a raid. I don't know how to do that.
I think you just
You send the
I think you
command.
just do the command he said in the
Sweet.
chat. Yeah.
All right. Raid. It's coming up. And Fox, we're sending them your way because I think you're also broadcasting, and then you could throw them wherever you want. I think you also are going to have a stream, and we'll hang out, possibly in the background after getting some water, and be curious to see what you got. So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. All right, I think I have to stop recording here and stop streaming. See ya. All right, dude.
Sweet.